Hey, welcome everyone to this week's episode of the Amazon Files brought to you by Mommy Income. And today we are talking about a very important topic, and we have a very special guest with us, Ritu Java.
Ready to dominate the world of pay-per-click PPC advertising? Unlock a goldmine of free guides and software. Click the links in the video description below to access invaluable resources for optimizing your PPC campaigns. Don't miss out. Click now and skyrocket your advertising success.
I'm sure you guys have heard of her. She is the CEO of PPC Ninja, a leading software and tools and service provider to brands specializing in ads and sponsored ads and all kinds of PPC stuff. She started her journey as an Etsy seller and now serves the Amazon community with PPC Ninja. And she is just a wealth of tactics and tricks and tools and suggestions to help you set up and grow your PPC ads. So without further ado, please welcome Ritu to the show. Ritu, thank you so much for joining me here at the Amazon Files.
I am beyond honored. Thank you so much, Kirsten, for inviting me to this one. It's amazing.
Of course. You know, we always, of course, at the Amazon Files are talking all about Amazon and different things. And I know your level of expertise is PPC and paid advertising, but we all started somewhere. And I'd love for you to start to tell us a little bit about how you got into e-commerce, whether it was, I think, 20 years ago or 10 minutes ago. How did you get into e-commerce?
Yeah, I love that question. Yes, I mean, my starting point, goes back to 2010 when I had taken kind of like a break from being a new mom and was just trying to, figure out what to do with my life. And I was just getting myself interested in all kinds of different things. And this was the time when I thought, okay, I can maybe do some creative stuff because I like to be creative. I like to use my hands to make stuff. And so I started making jewelry, right? So that was my starting point. I mean, up until then, I was mostly in an IT role. So I was in a tech company for the longest time. And I had been a business development manager for a Japanese company. I used to live in Japan at the time. And then I was like, okay, let me start this thing on the side because I have a little bit of time on my hands. So I started creating jewelry, and then I started selling my jewelry, and it started selling. I was like quite excited with the possibility that, okay, now I could maybe take this online. And that's when I started my first kind of e-commerce store on Etsy. And yeah, that was my original point. And then, of course, it's not easy, as everyone knows. When you start a business, it doesn't mean that just because you created a listing that people are going to flock to you and start buying your products. No, that's far from the truth. So you've got to do so much work. And that's what I had to kind of learn and teach myself. I had to teach myself advertising and like basics of marketing and how to promote yourself and what kind of what channels to use and where to show up and Etsy collections and all that good stuff. So that's when I started, and now I'm fast forward to today, I'm the CEO of PPC Ninja, and we're a data based company that helps hundreds of Amazon sellers get the best out of their advertising dollars.
So you learned how to advertise based on trying to sell your jewelry on eBay, or
Yes,
Etsy. And you thought,
yeah.
wow, I list this stuff, but how come everybody isn't coming to buy it? And so you realized that advertising was a way to bring in some more customers for you. And when you first started out with the Etsy advertising, how was that working for you?
So at the time, this is 2010, there wasn't any Etsy advertising. It was like fairly new. The only way we could kind of promote ourselves was through external ads, like running Facebook ads or Google ads and stuff like that. So Facebook ads was the thing that I went to, and I started creating all kinds of audiences, and a lot of them were just fake audiences. And I'd be like, my goodness, why are these people clicking on my ad? I'd be like so mad at them. But, anyway, it was all a good learning exercise, trying to figure out how, what's the right target audience, like who to go after, what the interests are. So that was my advertising, kind of traffic channel. But then I also had to build some organic traffic channels. So I created my own YouTube channel just to show people how I make my jewelry. So that was like a additional interesting thing, that people probably want to know maybe. So I started doing that. And then I created a blog and I started blogging about my jewelry, taking, photos of the steps and things like that, I was also dabbling in just general artwork at that time. So I was also painting and doing a few other things. So I created another blog, which was just, basically talking about creative stuff and painting and stuff like that. But then I was cross-linking those blogs because maybe the audiences are common, and I would show one blog's feed on another blog. So I learned all those tricks, what are the right widgets to add to Blogspot and things like that. Blogspot, my goodness, that was a long time ago.
I know we're going way back at this point talking about these things. That's great.
Right? Yeah. So anyway, I figured out, there's so much work. There's just too much work to send traffic to your pages. And then on Etsy, there was this concept of collections where, you could partner up with other creators and create collections that maybe followed the same color theme. So it's almost like a mood board or a visual palette where you have multiple products from different areas, and they're just color coordinated. So there's a yellow theme or a blue theme or whatever. So there could be a blue dress with a blue pair of earrings going with a blue shawl and things like that. So I was creating those collections with other people and trying to promote my listings. Yeah, that was exciting.
Yeah, it's funny as that I love as you got into that, even your body language and your face change, and you're talking about all the creative things. I can tell that really, really inspires you, as far as a creative outlet. What's funny is that we did not know that we had something in common. Actually, I buy, sell, and trade costume jewelry, vintage costume jewelry, and I make art projects from them. So I will make art from old vintage pieces, everything from, I just actually finished one called Timepiece, where it's this big peace sign, and I use broken watches and watch parts to kind of put the pieces together. So it's a creative outlet for me as well. And jewelry is just so pretty, and so a lot of it is just gorgeous and well made, and you can do things. So I'm glad that we shared that in common.
I know. I used to do that as well. Like I used to do scrapbooking with, steampunk and other kind of like pieces from, I used to go to flea markets and buy like broken watches and, get their parts and put them on like journals and stuff. Oh my goodness, that's so cool that we have that in common.
I'll have to send you the timepiece that I made. It's very steampunkish. It looks very similar to that. So I'll send you a picture of it.
Awesome.
That's fun. So talking about all of these different things and getting into business, and you mentioned being a new mom back in 2010 or so. So how many children do you have, and how is that weaved into your business building?
I have just one boy, and he is almost 19 now. So yeah, he's in college and he takes care of himself. But having him, be my kind of together partner in all these things. Like I used to be sitting down on my little table and with all these jewelry pieces and stuff laid out, and he would be like, "Mom, I want to make jewelry too." And I was like, "Sure." Like he would get his own, and then every time I would go shopping, he'd be like, "I want to buy beads too," and I would be like, "Oh my goodness, this is like each piece costs like $1 or something," and he wants like everything, and he wants to make it. I was like, "Fine, do it, like you join me." And so he would be playing while I was making the jewelry. He would be making pieces, and then he would make pieces for me, and he gave it to me on like Christmas and stuff. And I was like, oh my goodness, that's a treasure. So it was fun having him just watch me try to create something, and believe it or not, it has spurred that entrepreneurial spirit in him, and he's actually already kind of doing stuff that I couldn't have ever imagined doing at his age, selling stuff on eBay and whatnot. And I was like, wow, this is great to have that early education, with a parent, who's doing this stuff, and your kids are just getting inspired just by being around you, which is pretty cool. Like it's like an MBA.
Yes.
Almost.
It's so, and I love that you said that because it really is true. Our children are learning and seeing that not, their moms are not only, bringing in some extra income, but they're seeing us chase our dreams. They're seeing us be
Right.
creative and figure out what's working and what's not working, and it's still taking care of them and providing, love and nurturing to them, but also showing them that this is what it looks like. That I'm not just your mom. I'm also a very creative person, and I'm very and I'm ambitious, and I like all these different things, and we don't all have to just love one thing at a time, and having that be a good example for them to see that anything is possible with what you want to do, and in living that out and showing them. I love your example of that.
Yeah. Thank you.
So let's talk, let your shift into Amazon. So you've done the creative side and made some jewelry and made your way on Etsy and learned some advertising. How did that transition into being something you're doing for Amazon sellers?
Yeah, so then this was way back when I was in Japan. That was like, gosh, years and years ago now. So I decided that, this isn't working. Like this e-commerce online thing isn't working. I need to go back to school. So I actually moved from Japan to the US and did a course, a year-long course in data science. So that's how I kind of got in, back into went back to college, but then also started, studying the space, more closely, like how does one do advertising the right way? What's the way to get people to buy stuff? So the intention was, of course, the motivation was, of course, to grow my own business and learn something new. But the side benefit of that was that I, kind of stumbled upon Amazon. Like I didn't realize that this was a thing back then. I didn't realize that there were Amazon sellers and that they were, kind of doing similar stuff to what I was doing, but at a different scale. This was like way bigger, and they were getting everything white labeled and private labeled. And I was like, what is private label? Like this is like 2015. I was literally Googling what is private label in the context, right, of what I was seeing on Amazon. And then I discovered all this, the Alibabas and the sourcing and all that stuff. Anyway, so I got a chance to work for an e-commerce seller, and that's how I got introduced to Amazon. And then, worked in the capacity of a marketing manager for a software tool that was built for serving Amazon sellers. And then fast forward, we kind of extracted just the most important tool out of that set. And it was the advertising piece. So we created this new company and a new software called PPC Ninja. And this helps Amazon sellers optimize their PPC and give them the right bid recommendations, and helps them with budgets and placements and bidding strategies and things like that. So that was the evolution of my kind of journey into Amazon. And then I also started a services business serving any Amazon sellers who were interested in us managing their account for them. So that became like another kind of really good, side kind of thing, which has now grown to quite a large team. And then we also have a lot of clients that we manage their PPC for. So we have both, we have software and we have services. So that's my story.
Awesome. I love that. And so how is this a good fit for you at the time of your life you are now? I know you talked a little bit about your earlier journey and the creative side and doing some things like Etsy, and then going back to school, and now, and kind of starting and running your own business. So what is really brings the most fulfillment for you in this position that you're in now?
Yeah, so I'm an engineer by background, so I went to engineering school, and then I also am a creative person. So I cannot decide whether I'm left brain or right brain. I am not sure. I'm probably a bit of both, but both these things really excite me. I love data. I love analyzing data, and I love, let's say, looking at an account that someone, a PPC account, and then going really deep into that and trying to figure out, okay, what is it that's missing here? What is it that I can change and transform and help the seller with. We do all our PPC audits for free, and we find an immense kind of fulfillment in doing that, because then we can kind of guide sellers with strategies that they could use. And Of course, a lot of them eventually, come back to us and say, hey, can you manage your account? That's kind of the goal, that eventually we can be the ones to manage. But even without that, we're happy to share our analysis and assessment of PPC performance, and show them maybe they can use our software, maybe they can use just our services, or something in between. So it's fulfilling for me at this stage in life, because honestly, I don't have the eyesight to kind of do jewelry anymore. So that was like in the past, like I cannot have a magnifying glass anymore and be deft with my hands. This is better suited to who I am now. And I'm also a little paranoid about collecting too much inventory in the house, like with like lots of beads and lots of parts and stuff like that. So I think it's kind of working out really well. It fulfills me. It's what makes me wake up in the morning and turn on the computer and say, okay, well, what can I do today?
Yeah, I love that. And just mentioning the transitions that we all go through, as moms and as business people, just figuring out, like, I love how you said you're right brained and left brained, and a little bit of both. I think that's really a great place to admit that, to know that, yes, you have an amazing creative side, and you also have this hunger for data and getting it correct and analyzing it, because we can always make really good decisions based on really good data, right? Once you have the data, you can figure out what your next move is, good or bad. It is what it is, and you can, go from there. And just talking about the different stages, and I love the phrase that you used. You said, who I am now. And I love that you said that, because we go through so many different phases and changes in life, and so many people pull back from that, and they think it's awful, and they don't like change, to where the way you said that so beautifully is just like, well, it fits me for who I am right now, and where you're fulfilled now, and that changes over time. And I love to acknowledge that and realize that back in 2010, when you first started, even Etsy, you're a different person now. You've learned so many things, you've gone through different things, you've gone through different stages of motherhood and in business. And I love to, this is just permission for everyone who hasn't maybe given themselves permission to be who you are today, and that doesn't have to match. I hope I'm not the same person I was 10 years ago.
Right.
I hope I've grown and changed and evolved into, just being the age I'm at, right? I haven't been this age before. I haven't been at this stage of motherhood or even business before. So embracing that we make changes at different times, and some things still suit us and might suit us forever. And sometimes it's okay to just make changes. I think gone are the days of maybe our parents who went to college or went to school, they got a job, they stayed there for 30 or 40 years, they retired and moved on. And now, in the age that we're in, with the digital people being digital nomads and people just being globally connected, we have so many more opportunities to change up what we're doing if we decide a decade later that, like, oh, that was great for that time, but now I'm moving on and
Totally. So absolutely love it.
And so your journey has just seemed to take a lot of those little twists and turns, but you describe it so happily, that I love that's just part of who we are. It's not always begrudging. Sometimes it's just letting something else go so we can embrace what's new for us, and using all the different experiences you have to kind of come together. So let's talk quickly before we wrap up here about some of the top tactics right now, quick action steps that people can take in their advertising. So what's really helping people stand out in today's market when it comes to PPC advertising?
There's so much in the world of PPC, and it's evolving at the speed of light almost. Like every day we're learning something new. Amazon is giving us new data. And there's just a lot more than we had in the past. And because I'm speaking from a data science perspective, I just think that the one thing that I would encourage everyone to do is to start taking advantage of the data that Amazon is already giving us. One such report is the Search Query Performance Report. It tells you exactly where you stand with all the keywords your brand is associated with, or your ASINs are associated with. So if there was just one little step you could take today, I would say definitely go and check the Search Query Performance Report out. It's under Brand Analytics. That's where it lives. And this report will actually tell you your top 1,000 search terms or keywords. And you can compare that with the keywords that you're currently advertising and try to look for any gaps, because you might be relevant for, let's say, a bunch of keywords that you're not even bidding on, right? So you can actually go and strengthen that, relevancy by kind of accelerating it through ads. See, ads, the job of ads is to accelerate what Amazon would have learned anyway, but it would have taken a long time, right? Mm-hmm. So through ads, through picking the right keywords and bidding on them, you're showing up for them, which means you improve your chances or probability of someone clicking on your ad with that keyword and then buying it, and thereby giving Amazon the message that this keyword is relevant for this product. So through ads, you enhance and kind of shorten that life cycle. And so it's really important to know if there's any keywords that Amazon thinks you're relevant for, pick them up and start ads for them.
Yeah, that is a great quick tip. And anybody, no matter the size of your business, whether you started yesterday or a decade ago, that is an actionable step you can do right now. So I would suggest everybody take a few minutes, do that, look at those reports, look at the keywords, the gaps that you might be filling. If you've never advertised before, it's a great place to start. Maybe pick the top 5 and start looking at your budget and figuring out what you want to put towards what. So if someone had a very limited budget when it comes to their PPC, which we all are on a budget, right? But if we have a very limited budget, what do you say is the most important thing that they need to spend on when it comes to ads?
Yeah, so first of all, I would check the conversion rate of your ASINs. So let's say you have 10 ASINs, or let's make it smaller. Let's make it 5 ASINs. If you have 5 ASINs, what you want to do is go to your business report and by child ASIN and look at the unit session percentage. You will find some of your ASINs being higher with the unit session percentage as compared to others. And so if you see enough conversions happening, which means you have enough sales and it's substantial data, you can count on that unit session percentage to be representative of your conversion rate. So what does that do? Let's take an example. What if your conversion rate is 10% for one of your ASINs? Okay, that's great. So 10% means that if you send 100 people to your product detail page, then 10 of those people will buy your products. Just explaining it very simply. So 10% conversion rate means 100 people sent, 10 people bought. Now, on average, 100 people sent, if you send them through ads, it means 100 clicks, right? At least 100 clicks would have led you to 10 sales. And on average, a click is, let's say, $1 each. So that means you're spending $100 to get 10 sales, right? So if you can work out the math on that, and you can see which of your products is actually better suited for advertising, I would say pick that one. Start from there. The higher, the better. The average conversion rate on Amazon is 10%. And if your unit session percentage is above that, I would say that's a good candidate to start with advertising so that you can spend less to get more, right? So if let's say your conversion rate is 20%, it's a better conversion rate. That means if you send 100 clicks or 100 people to your page, then 20 people will buy, which means it's a lot cheaper, right? You're spending less to get more. So start there. And then in terms of what kind of ads to set up, I would say there's a few different basic ads that you can try. So first of all, you can try the auto campaign, which is very simple. You don't really need that much to get it set up. The only tip I would say is that split up your auto campaigns into 4 different ads, and each of these should target one of the 4 auto targeting groups. Within auto campaigns, there's 4 targeting groups: close match, loose match, substitutes, and complements. I would recommend splitting those out, leaving only one of them active while you disable the other 3 in each of them. That way you'll get 4 out of the same campaign type. Keep your bids low to start with, because obviously you don't know whether it's going to perform or not. Everything starts out as an experiment till it proves itself out, right? So start low, inch up. That would be my recommendation if you have a limited budget. If you do it the other way around, what's going to happen is that you'll spend a lot of money before you gain enough data to make any decisions. Because let's say you start bidding $2, $3 a click. Well, that money will get spent in no time, like 3 clicks and your $10 are gone, right? Whereas if you start, let's say at 10 or 15, 20 cents to begin with, 2 or 3 clicks will only cost you 60 cents. That's the difference, right? $10 versus 60 cents. So it's just the style of advertising would be a little bit slower, but at least you can be sure not to kind of blow through your budget and learn nothing out of it, right? So yeah, those would be my kind of tips to start auto campaigns, and then learning from the auto campaigns, you can start creating manual campaigns as well with exact matches. That way you can kind of see whatever is working. You can start strengthening that using sponsored product ads, manual sponsored product ads.
Awesome. That is so helpful. I really appreciate you running through that with us just so that we know. I have one final question I have about that, because I love what you said about, you mentioned starting with the advertising with the things with the highest conversion rates, which I find that most of my students, they panic and something's not selling at all. And so then they want to go in and they want to put PPC ads on something that's not selling or doesn't have any ads yet. And so what are your suggestions for that? Because I think that seems like a move of desperation rather than trying to get something that's already doing well to do better. I have clients that come and say, how much should I spend on the PPC? I haven't sold a single one of this item yet, and they're worried about not making any sales. What are your thoughts about that?
So Amazon has a cold start problem, because when you launch a new product, it doesn't have reviews yet, right? So it doesn't really speak for itself. So when someone sees the page, they're like, oh, this doesn't have reviews, they move on. So you wasted your PPC on that, right? So it's like you're starting cold because obviously you don't have reviews, you don't have momentum. So chicken and egg for a bit, totally understand that. Now, if you're at the stage where nothing is moving even, you need to do something to kind of trigger it. Like either you send external traffic to your page, or run PPC even at a loss, but you can kind of decide, okay, I'm gonna push it through PPC, even though it's not yet it hasn't taken off. I'm going to use this as the thing that starts the flywheel, because you need the flywheel to be working in the first place. But then how do you get the flywheel started? You need some external triggers, either external traffic, or let's say you have an email list somewhere, you're sending people to your page with discounts. Definitely use coupons at that start, because coupons give you an extra kind of badge, which shows up very prominently in the search results, and people generally eyeball that and say, okay, this has a coupon, this one doesn't. Okay, let's try the one that has a coupon, no matter what the amount. Even if it's $1 off, doesn't matter. As long as you have the orange badge, it's fine. So I would do that to kind of start the fire, because if it's like cold, you got to start the fire. But let's say you've been advertising, you have been selling for a bit, and now you want to start advertising. There, I would start with what's already working and give it a boost, so that buys you some leverage to kind of then support the less successful products, and then you can kind of get all of them on board.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for sharing those really quick tips. And I do want to remind everyone that Ritu is graciously offered to teach a little bit more of an in-depth training into our Amazon Files Hub. Of course, that's our membership site for those who are wholesale bundle students and advanced students in our Amazon Files Hub. If you haven't checked that out yet, go to mommyincome.com/hub and see if you qualify to be a student. You don't want to miss Ritu's training. She is going to do all of that and then some, just showing us some quick and dirty tips to be able to get started, because I know in this economy, we all have dead inventory. We'd like to see it move a little bit faster. We all have new ideas we're bringing to the table, new wholesale bundles you guys are launching. And you know how I feel about PPC. Only when your listing is optimized, only when you're ready to start that fire or keep that fire moving. But my favorite tip of today was really looking at stuff that's selling. Look at your best sellers and look at how you can improve selling even through your best sellers by adding just a few PPC ads to those with a few specific relevant keywords, improve your relevancy. So I love that. Thank you so much for being vulnerable and talking to us about your motherhood and also your PPC stuff. So can you remind everyone where they can come and get in touch with you and find you to reach out?
Yeah, sure. So my email is ritu@ppcninja.com. It's simple. And if you happen to be on LinkedIn, well, I'm active there. My full name is my handle. So RITUJAVA, Java, as in coffee, as in the island. Yeah. So yeah, you can find me in either one of those two places.
Well, thank you so much for being here. Again, you guys, ppcninja.com. Also, don't forget, we're going to be doing a training coming up soon with Ritu. So you're going to learn all about some of the quick and easy tips to start your PPC running and going smoothly. Again, you guys, thank you for listening to the Amazon Files podcast. I know you could be anywhere else doing any other thing, and I don't take that for granted. I appreciate your time and your effort and your energy. We'll see you guys same time, same place next week on the Amazon Files.
Attention marketers. Want to maximize your ROI with pay-per-click ads? Click the links below in the video description to get your hands on free guides and software that will revolutionize your advertising strategy. Take charge of your PPC success. Click now.